Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make this. I think I'm going to call it X's and Cubes or Cube X or something bracelet. It's a very simple process. It takes a little time just because there's a few steps involved, but it's pretty simple. It's just using 4mm cubes and seed beads, and it turns out really, really pretty. So let me show you against my skin so you can see. It turns out really nice. So that's what we're going to make today. Let me center it here and come in just a little closer so you can see it. And let's go ahead and look and see what it takes to make this particular project. Okay, for this project today, we will be using 4mm cube. These are glass cubes, and it is an opaque blue half iris. Then we're going to be using some 3x2 crystals, and this is an opaque indigo. Then we're going to be using a combination of seed beads. These are all Toho. I have two colors of 8O. I have nickel, and I have galvanized permanent finish aluminum. Then I'm going to be using 15O seed beads, and my 15Os are the nickel. And then my 11O is going to be galvanized permanent finish aluminum. So those are the beads we're going to be using, and then I'm going to be using Fireline. This is the crystal Fireline, and a size 12 beading needle, and I'm going to put on my beading needle to start with about 4 to 5 feet. You will need to extend during this project, so there will be a video link in the description box beneath the video player that will show you how to do that if you do not know how to do that. Then we're going to be using a toggle clasp. You can use any clasping you would like. Since this is not a real big bracelet, I'm using a small one. It's about 1/2 inch, so across on the round part here. So that's what we're going to be using. Let's go ahead and thread our needles and get started. Okay, so first of all, don't laugh at my manicure. I didn't have the heart to tell the manicurist that it looks dumb, but it looks really dumb. It's just kind of blobby looking and just immature looking. But anyway, this is the manicure I got. She just picks what she wants to do, and you know, sometimes. But anyway, we aren't going to worry about that. What we're going to do is we're going to pick up a cube onto our needle, and then we are going to pick up 3 11O seed beads and an 8O, and then 3 11O seed beads and a cube. So this is what we have. And we're just going to bring this down to the end of the thread. You don't have to leave a really long tail, but leave enough so that this won't slip off. And then we're just kind of going to lay it down. You can hold on to it if you can do it, but we're just going to lay this down, and then we're going to pick up 3 more 11O seed beads onto our needle. Come here, you little 11O. So we have these 3 11Os. We're coming out of this cube on the working thread part, and we're just going to go down into this 8O. Now hold on to all of those beads in the end here and pull this down. Because this particular start, we don't have anything secured, so you just have to kind of keep your beads on here. And it's going to be messy and weird at first, but that's okay. So this is what we've got here. Now pick up 3 more 11O seed beads and go into the side of the cube where your tail is coming out of the other cube, right here. Now hold on to your tail, hold on to that cube, and pull these beads down. And I've got a lot of thread right now, so now it just looks like a mess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to straighten this little cube out the best I can, kind of pull on the tail and pull on the working thread just a little bit, and this is what I have. Now I'm going to secure this. So I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to hold on to that cube where the tail is, and I'm going to go up into all of these 11Os and the 8O in the center, and then the 11Os on the other side in a diagonal, just like this. And I'm going to hold on to the entire piece, so I don't pull it off my thread, and I'm just going to draw it through and give it a tiny little tug. Then I'm going to go through the cube here, and I'm going to pull this down. And then I'm going to go through the 3 11-ohs here and the 3 11-ohs on the opposite side. So we're just going in a diagonal on this side now. Through all of the beads, hold on to your piece and pull your thread through, give a tiny tug. Now go through the cube here. So now you can see we're organized and it's not going to fall off anymore, but we need to go ahead and secure through it one more time because this is our beginning stitch. So we're going to do the same thing again. I'm coming out here. I'm going to go up through all of these beads on this side in a diagonal like this and pull my thread through while I hold on to my piece. Then I'm going to go through the cube and pull it through, and then I'm going to go through all of these seed beads on this side in a diagonal just like this, and then I'm going to pull that through, give a little tug to tighten everything, and go back through this cube here. Now we have our first little unit in our first stages here. We're going to put an embellishment on top of this now. So we're coming out of the cube. We're going to pick up 4 15-oh seed beads onto our needle. So I have 4. I'm going to go from the cube directly into the 8-oh in the center of the little X we've created. And I'm going to pull this through. Now I'm going to pick up 4 more of my 15-oh seed beads onto my needle, and I'm going to go up into the cube on this side. So I'm still working in a diagonal. It just kind of helps retain the beads on there a little better. So I'm going to pull these down and I'm going to arrange them on top of the 11-ohs. Make sure they don't float up into the side of the cube or anything. You want them to lay directly on top. Pull your thread a little bit to make sure you have nice tension, but you don't want them bunched, so just get the proper amount of tension to achieve a nice clean look. Then pick up 4 more of your 15-ohs. We're coming out of the cube on this side now. We're going to go again right down into just that 8-oh in the center of the X. And we're going to pull this through. Again, arrange them so that they're on top. You can also pull your cubes out like this because they have a tendency to want to bunch in. So you can just pull them out a little and then pick up 4 more 15-ohs and go into the opposite side of the cube from which you started. Just like this. Now again, I'm just going to arrange it, kind of stretch it out a little. Make sure that my 15-ohs are laying the way I want. So at this point, I'm just adjusting the tension on my thread. And now I am going to pick up onto my needle 3 11-oh seed beads and an 8-oh seed bead. I'm going to drop this down, and then I'm going to pick up my clasping, and I'm going to go through the loop on my clasp. Now, just arranging everything, and I'm going to go back through the 8-oh seed bead here, and just the 8-oh, and I'm going to pull my thread through and draw this clasp down to the beads, just like this. Move that little tail, and I'm going to pick up 3 more 11-oh seed beads onto my needle, and I'm going to go into the cube here. So this is what you should have, just like this. Now we're going to sew back through this a couple of times, and then we're going to add the 15-0 embellishment on top of it. So let's just go ahead and go through one more time without putting any embellishment. So I'm coming out of this cube, I'm going to go up through the 3 11-0s into the 8-0 and then into my clasping loop and pull this through. Now we're going to go back down into the 8-0 and the 3 11-0s on the other side here. Pull this through, go through the cube right here. My thread has a slip knot. I fixed it. Just pulled it out of there. I'm going to do that one more time and then we'll put our embellishment on. So let's go back up through all the beads, the 3 11-0s, the 8-0, the clasp. Back down into the 8-0, the 3 11-0s on this side now. Come here, 11-0, and pull that through. Then I'm going to go back through the cube. Now for my last securing run through this clasping area, I'm going to pick up, coming out of the cube, I'm going to pick up 4 15-0 seed beads, and I'm just going to go directly up through the 8-0, and I'm going towards the back of the 8-0 and then through the clasping loop. And pull these down right on top of those 11-0s. And let's get just a little closer. And then let's go back into the 8-0. So it's getting tight at this point, so you might need to adjust so you can get your needle in. Go back through the 8-0, you're coming out of the clasp. And pull that thread through. And then let's pick up 4 15-0 seed beads and go into the opposite side from which we started of the cube here. And pull this down. Give a nice little tug to make sure everything is nice and secure. Arrange them so they look really pretty. And now we're coming out of the cube. We're going to go down into the 3 11-0s here that we started with, and then through the 8-0. Now it might be easier just to come through the back, and if you can just go all the way through the little X again, diagonal. So this is the back of my piece. I'm coming out of the cube, I'm going all the way down all of these seed beads in a diagonal here. And I've turned it back over. I'm going to pull my thread through, and then I'm going to go through the cube right here. Now we're going to make our next unit. So we're going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads, then we're going to pick up an 8-0, and then we're going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads. Now in my original design, which I am going to use to finish, I did a silver 8-0 in the middle here. So I'm going to switch to that real quick just so you can see the color scheming. But I picked up the wrong one while I was doing this, but I'm using a silver 8-0. So I'm going to pick up the silver 8-0 and then the 3 11-0s. So I like to do the beginning stitches on a piece and then pick up the piece that I've already finished to the first stage to show you, but I kind of messed up. So we've got 3 11-0s, an 8-0, and 3 11-0s, and then I'm going to pick up a cube, drop it down, pick up 3 more 11-0 seed beads, and then I'm going to go into just the 8-0. So I'm coming out of the cube, and they want to fly everywhere. Just try to get a hold of that 8-0. just like that. Go through the 8/0, hold on to the 8/0, pull your thread through until you can just draw everything up together like this. And then we're going to pick up 3 more 11/0 seed beads onto our needle. And then we're going to go through the opposite side of the cube. Just like this. Now I'm going to go down into the 3 11/0s here and the 8/0 and the 3 11/0s on the opposite side. So just like this in a diagonal. And again, when you make your first unit, just make sure if you want the same color I'm using, just use the silver. You may be using different colors anyway, but we're going to go back down through this cube now. And then we're going to go back up through all the beads on this side. Just like this. And then we're going to go through the cube. Now we're secure, and we can put the 15/0 embellishment on top. Just arrange everything so it's nice and neat the best you can. And pick up 4 15/0 seed beads. Now we're coming out this side of the cube. We're going to go directly down into the center of the 8/0 here. Pull this down. Straighten everything back out. Pick up 4 more of your 15/0 seed beads. And then we're going to go into this side of the cube here. Push them up. Make sure they lay directly on top of those previous 11/0s. Then pick up 4 more. These 15/0s are arguing with me. Sorry, guys. All right, so I've got my 4. And then I'm coming out of this side of the cube now. I'm going directly up into that 8/0. And you want to make sure that you avoid all the 11/0s and 15/0s that are already on there. Pull this through and arrange it. Adjust your tension so that everything is really nice and neat. And then pick up 4 more of your 15/0 seed beads and go into the opposite side of the cube we started in here. Now you can travel back down through the 15/0s if you'd like, but I would rather just go through my 11/0s. So I'm just going to go down through I'm coming out of this side of the cube. I'm going to go down through the original 11/0s, the 8/0 in the center, and then the 11/0s beneath it here. Now you can get them all in one stroke sometimes, and sometimes you cannot. So I missed one. I'll go through it. And once I'm here, I want to tighten everything, kind of pull the unit apart because it squishes up. You want it to be nice, pretty X, just like this. Let's do one more of these units, and then we'll go to length, and then we'll do our second stage. So now that you have your cube, you're coming out of the side of the cube, you're going to pick up 3 of your 11/0 seed beads. Then you're going to pick up an 8/0. And then 3 more 11/0s. And then a cube. Just like this. Then I'm going to drop these down to my piece. I'm going to pick up 3 more 11/0 seed beads. And I'm coming out of the cube here. I'm going to go directly up into this 8/0 here. I'm going to hold on to the 8/0 and I'm going to pull this all up. Draw it together like this, and then pick up 3 more 11/0 seed beads. Then I'm going to go into the opposite side of the cube from which I started, so the one I'm attaching to. And evidently I have an 11-0 that won't let my needle pass through. So that's weird. Let me pick up another 3. And we're going to go into the side of the cube. Make sure you do not pass through the 11-0s on the other side. If you do, just back out just like I did, just like that. And then we're going to sew into all 3 on this side, the 8-0, and all 3 on the bottom side, just like this. Pull this through. Tighten it as much as you can, then go through the cube. And again, hold on to that cube and give another little tug so that you can start to establish your tension and draw it all together. Then we're going to go up through the 3 11-0s on this side, the 8-0, and the 3 11-0s on this side, just like this. Hold on to it all, pull your thread through, and go through the cube. Now I'm going to arrange it as much as I can. And then I'm going to pick up 4 15-0 seed beads. And I'm going to go through the center 8-0 here. Pull these down, adjust my tension, pick up 4 15-0 seed beads. And then we're going to go through the cube on the opposite side from which we started. Here. Pull this down, arrange it, adjust tension. The little X's can be kind of unruly until you get at least to this point. Then you can kind of get some tension established and they align a little better. Now we're going to pick up 4 of our 15-0s and go back into the center again. And pull this down. Let's pick up 4 more 15-0 seed beads. And go through the cube. Here. Once I get here, I like to kind of pull the unit apart a little bit so that the X is nice and stretched out. It's not all bunched up. Then I go down into the 4 11-0s in the original, through the 8-0, and then through the 4 11-0s on the other side, which I'm not going to make, so I'm just going to go through the 8-0 and untangle myself. And go through these 4 11-0s that I missed. So I'm just going to turn it over and go through here, or 3 11-0s, excuse me, right here. Now, since that unit was just a very ungraceful pain in the butt, we're going to do one more because everything that could go wrong on that one did. So let's go into the cube again and let's do one more unit, and hopefully nothing will argue with me and be weird. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads, an 8-0, 3 11-0s. And then we're going to pick up a cube and drop it down. Now we're going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads and go into the 8-0 in the center. Hold on to that 8-0 just like this and pull. Draw this all up and pick up 3 more 11-0 seed beads and go through the cube on the opposite side from which we started. Now you have this little unruly thing here. Let's try to arrange it. And then let's go into reinforcing it. So we're coming out of this side, we're going to pick up, or we're going to go through the 3 11-0s and the 8-0 in the center and the 3 11-0s on the opposite side here, just like this. Pull this through, tighten it a little, go through the cube, tighten it a little, and then let's travel back up through this side. So go through the 3 11-0s, the 8-0, and the 3 11-0s on this side, like this. Hold on to them, pull your thread through, go into the cube, give a little tug, stretch out your unit a little so it's not all boggled up, and then let's pick up 4 15-0 seed beads and go into the 8-0 here. Pull these down, align them on top, adjust your tension, and pick up 4 more. Then we're going to go into the cube on the opposite side of the unit from which we started and pull those down, just like that. Now we're going to pick up 4 more, go into the center 8-0, and pull these down. Adjust them and pick up 4 more. And go through the cube, just like this. Once you've done that, then you're going to go back into the original 11-0s underneath your embellishment of 15-0s. And I'm going to try to slide through all of them on this side so I can just kind of turn my piece and continue to try to go through all these beads on this side. And I cannot, so I'm going to exit right here. So this one's at a funny little angle, and I'm going to pull this through, and then I'm going to go through that 11-0. Just make sure you pass through them all. If it takes a couple of tries, that's fine. Then go through the cube. Now I'm going to stretch it all out. I do that intermittently so that I can keep everything nice and straight. And now you're going to continue doing this. Go ahead and make your next attachment and put your next cube on and continue doing this until you have 13 units. Now, with the size clasping I'm using, I am going to get about 7.5-inch bracelet. So of course you can adjust the amount of units you make to get the length that you want. You have to take into consideration the size of your clasping also. So now that I've made my 13 units, I'm coming out of this last cube that I've just connected and put my embellishment on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my 3 11-0s. And then because I used on this side, I used a 8-0 that is in the nickel color. I'm going to pick up a nickel color and I'm going to drop this. So I have 3 11-0s and an 8-0. Now I am going to pick up my clasp and I'm going to go through it. Then go back through your 8-0 seed bead and just the 8-0 and pull this down. Then I'm going to pick up 3 more 11-0 seed beads and go through the cube on the opposite side. Just like that. Now I'm going to secure this and then we'll put our embellishment on after we secure this twice. So we're going to pass through these 3 11-0s on this side and the 8-0 and the clasp. Go down into the 8-0 now that you're in the clasp and the 3 11-0s on the opposite side. pull this down, and then go into your cube. Now we're going to do this one more time, and then we'll put on our embellishment. So go back up through the 3 11-ohs here, and then the 8-oh, and then the clasp. Then back down into the 8-oh and the 3 11-ohs on this side. Now you can do that one more time before you put on your embellishment if you'd like, but I'm just going to go ahead and put on my embellishment now. I'm going to pick up 4 of my 15-oh seed beads and pass up through the 8-oh and then go behind the clasp and through the loop, just like this. Then I'm going to come back down into the 8-oh. And pull this down. Make sure your embellishment is nice and neat and tight, and then pick up 4 more 11-oh seed beads onto your needle here. And then you're going to go down into the cube. Pull that nice and tight. Make sure at this point that your entire piece is spread apart. The cubes aren't all clustered up and weird. Everything needs to be spread apart so that your X's look really nice. And then you're coming out of the 3 11-oh or the cube right now. So I'm going to go ahead and pass through my clasping one more time so I can get over to the other side to start my embellishment. So I am going to go up through these 3 11-ohs and through the 8-oh and through the clasp, just like this. So I'm coming through the back side of the clasp here. Then I'm going to go back down into the 3 11-ohs on this side. Okay, now that I'm coming out of these 3 11-ohs, I'm going to pick up a 2x3 rondelle, excuse me, and I'm going to slide from this 8-oh into just 1 8-oh in the 3, or excuse me, from the 11-ohs into just 1 11-oh on the 3 on the other side of the cube, just like this. So come through the 3 and then come through 1. And pop that little crystal down between the sets of 3 11-ohs, just like this. Then I am going to pick up, and I think I'm going to do this with 15 O's, and I am going to pick up 3 15 O's, and then I'm going to pick up an 8-oh in my silver color, and then 3 15 O's. So I'm using nickel and silver, and I'm coming out of this silver 11-oh here. I am going to skip all the way down to the very next unit and the third 11-oh on that unit. So I am coming out of 1 on this set. I'm going to go into 1 on this set, and I'm going to pull this down, just like that. Now I'm coming out of the 3 11-ohs, the very last one here. I'm going to pick up a rondelle, and I'm just going to go into 1 11-oh on the next set of 3 11-ohs. And I'm going to pop that rondelle right in between there, just like that. Now I'm coming out of 1 of the 11-ohs in this set of 3. I'm going to pick up 3 15-ohs and an 8-oh and 3 15-ohs. I'm going to go from this 111.0, skip over all of these and just go into the very last 11.0 on the next set of 3 on the next unit and pull this down. Then again, I straighten this up. I'm short and a 15.0 there. I knew that looked weird. So I'm going to back out again and pick up a 15.0 and go back into that 111.0. There we go. I guess I'm just going to goof up all day today, guys. Sorry. I have days like that. Now I'm going to pick up I'm coming out of the 3 11.0s. I'm going to pick up 1 crystal and then go into 1 11.0 on the next set of 3 right here. So there's a little gap there, and I'm just going to fill it up with the crystal, just like that. Straighten out my embellishment and then move into the next embellishment. Pick up 3 15.0s. Come here, 15.0s, and an 8.0 and 3 15.0s. I'm coming out of this 1 11.0 here. I'm going to skip all of these 11.0s, go into the very last one on the next unit set of 3 here, and pull this down. Then pick up your rondelle and pass through just the first 11.0 on the next set of 3, just like that. Now you're going to have to straighten it out several times and kind of keep straightening. It's going to curve a little bit to the inside simply because we're just doing one side right now. Then when we pass through the other side, it'll straighten out. But we're going to continue doing this embellishment all the way to the very end, and then we will come back and we'll travel over and do the other side. Okay, so now you can see I've traveled all the way up to this point right here, the very last 3x2 I put in on the second to last unit here before the clasping. And now just make sure your bracelet is nice and straightened out and your embellishment looks the way you want. You may have to arrange them a little so they don't look bunched up. Get your tension correct. And then I'm going to put this last embellishment in here. So I've got my 3 15.0s, 8.0, 3 15.0s. I'm coming out of this 1 11.0 on the set of 3 on this unit. I'm going to go into the very last 11.0 on the set of 3 in my last unit here, my clasping unit. And then I'm going to pick up a 3x2 rondelle. And I'm going to go through the cube and just pull that in there, just like that. Now we're going to go on this side and we're going to pick up a rondelle. Come here, rondelle. Come here. And we're just going to go into 1 11.0 on the next set of 3 11.0s. So I'm going to push this set up that's connecting my clasping and just kind of pop this down in between. Even though it's coming out of the cube instead of the 3 11.0s, you should be able to pop it down between the set of 3 11.0s like this. Now we're going to start the same embellishment again. We're going to pick up our 3 15.0 seed beads and an 8.0 and 3 15.0s, and we're coming out of this 1 11.0 here. We're going to go into the next set of 3 11.0s and go into just one, the very last 11.0 on that set of 3. So let me pick this up and slide through that one. And then pull this through. Just like that. Now I've lost my needle again, so let me put it back on. This whole video is like a comedy show. I'm sorry guys, Comedy Hour 101 with clumsy Gina. There we go. Now I'm coming out of the 111 here and I'm going to pick up a rondelle. Come here, rondelle. And we're going to go from this 11 in this set of 3 on this unit into 111, the first one on the next set of 3, and pull this down and pop it in there. And now you can see my bracelet is starting to really straighten out and look nice. So let's pick up 3 more of our 15 O's and an 8-0 and 3 15 O's. One note I would like to say is before you start this embellishment, while you're still making your main units, make sure that you extend your Fireline and have a long piece before you start your embellishments, because it's easier to extend when you're using the cubes and the 11 O's than it is when you're using your 15 O's. So anyway, let's go from this 11 to this 11. So straight across into the 111 that's at the end of the next unit of 3, just like this, and then pick up a rondelle and go from 11 to 11, just through the first one on the gap there, put in your crystal. And just keep straightening things up, making sure they look nice as you do this, because now is where you're really going to establish your tension and the look of your bracelet. And let's go ahead and continue moving all the way down to the end of the bracelet. And when we get to the very last one here, right about here, we'll be back and we will finish up the bracelet. Okay, so I have done this complete side now. Here I'm just at the very end here. I'm going to put in my last 3x2 crystal, and then I'm going to try to travel up the clasping and back down to put my knot in. Hopefully I can get through the clasping well. So I'm coming out of this 11 seed bead here. I'm going to pick up my last 3x2 and then go through all 3 of these 11 O's here on the clasping. And I'm going to try to travel up that 8-0. Oh yeah, I can do that. I'm going to move my clasping aside so that I can go up through it, just like this, and pull this crystal down into the last slot. And I'll straighten this out so you can see it, and I just tangled it. So let me pull this in there. So now you can see I have traveled through this 11 put in my 3x2, traveled through all 3 of these 11 and I have come up through the 8-0 and into my clasp, and now I'm going to go back down through this 8-0. I'm going to move my clasping away because I've sewn it and it's very tight. So I'm going to see if I can come back down this 8-0 and into the 3 11-0s on this side, right here. And I've come through the crystal too. There. Now I've turned my piece over and I'm coming out of this little crystal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down these 3 11-0s in this first unit here and through the 8-0 in the middle, just like this. So I am going to sew all the way through. I'm going to go through these 3 11-0s too. So I'm just sewing all the way through this diagonal of the 11-0s, and I'm going to pull my thread through. Then right here between this crystal and the seed beads, I'm just going to put my needle through, make a loop, go through the loop, and slowly bring a knot down on the thread bridge so that it's not on top of my beads or anything. Then I'm going to go into this crystal here, so the cube, see if I can get through it. And then I'll go down these 3 here again in a diagonal. So I'm just going to go all the way down this set. Go into this 11-0, all the 11-0s there, the 8-0, and the 3 11-0s below, like this. and I'll tie one more knot here. So I'm going on the thread bridge right between the crystals and the crystal and the 11 O's, and I'm going to try to arrange my thread so it stays between the beads, make a loop, go through the loop, and tie a knot down on the thread bridge. Then I'll go back into the cube again, here, and I'm going to go through these 3 11-O's and the 8-O, and I think I'm just going to cut my thread off as I come through this 8-O here, if I can get through. All right, where's my needle? There it is. Okay. So I'm coming through these 3 11-O's and the center 8-O. Pull my thread through. Then I'm just going to cut, leaving a little tag here of thread, like this. So you can see that, I think. And then I'm going to grab my lighter and just get my flame close and just melt that little piece in. This is on the back of my piece, so now I can just kind of tap that in while it's warm, turn this over, straighten it out here. Now this turned out to be a 7.5-inch bracelet, which, let's see, yeah, it's 7.5 inches. I keep forgetting that I've lost a little weight and my wrist is a little smaller. So we're gonna see how huge this is on me. It might not be, it might be just about right, but it's a little big. Not terribly, but it is a little big. But it turns out so cute. And this is what it looks like. I'll get you a little closer so you can see the patterning of the beads. Really very pretty. I like it a lot. I think I would probably go one less unit next time and maybe put 2 8-O's on the side of the clasping here, right here. So I still have some movement, but it wouldn't be just quite as loose as it is. And that is what it turns out like. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please consider hitting the subscribe button, perhaps the like, thumbs up, and maybe even the notification bell if you want to continue making pieces together. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.